Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody really enjoyed listening to what you have to say just as much as they once listened. So much more to your music. I was thinking, let's get serious as I was listening to you. It's great to hear somebody who can use the power of music as well as their voice to convey these messages. And I'm very interested by the fact that in your life, religion has played such a huge part in your life, choices of religion, but also your faith. And religion is at the heart of so much of difficulty in our world today, as well as so much that is good. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts on that as someone who is experiencing that faith and has felt that it was so important to them to, in the way that you've changed and developed over the years. How do you feel about the tension, the religious tensions that seem to exist in our world today?
Well, there's always extremists in all different types of religion, but I found that if we owed our allegiance to God, then that's what's most important. I've been one who's just tried to inspire and enlighten and educate to those who are less fortunate, to those who need help. We found that by going and talking to kids who are just confused and not following the right path, sharing our life story with them as well. We grew up around a lot of tension, but it was the love that my parents gave us that kept us away from that. We were like kids who were in the middle of gang warfare and things like that, but they instilled the right morals and principles in us. And you find anywhere in the world, young people, they need the love, they need the right attention, and that's why if they don't get that, they sort of gravitate towards the gangs and sort of the bad doings. But I like it when I see that people can make a change because they open their hearts and they're willing to at least look at it from a positive perspective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think, and young people need more than one chance as well. When they get it wrong, they need a second chance, a third chance, sometimes a fourth chance. It really seems to me to be important never to give up. Hope that people can change and develop.
Yeah, well, there's always hope, and you have to keep at it, and you have to believe that you can get through. You can get through the walls and get through the barriers, and I think with persistence and driven accuracy, you can make a difference in one's life, and we've seen it every day through music. Before I came in, we were in the Philippines, and we were in Indonesia, and we were in Hong Kong, and it was the music that put the smiles on the people's faces. Most of them couldn't speak English, but it was the music that they grew up with, and just the message and the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful countries.
Yes.
Special places with good people.
It's a bit warmer.
Yeah, and a bit warmer than here. A bit warmer than Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things in Western Europe, maybe the whole of Europe and America today, is a lack of understanding of Islam. I think, we have a lot of hostility based on ignorance. Is there anything that you're involved in that helps to explain Islam better to young people and to those in America who might not really have experienced that and feel frightened or, just scared by ignorance?
No, but there are extremists in every religion, but I think it's because of, and I really don't want to sound too political but the governments and foreign policies and things, and that's why you have so much political unrest going on around the world, but it's the people. Like I was very close to Blaise Compaoré, the president who was just overthrown in Burkina Faso.
Mm-hmm.
And people want change, and they want a better life. And it's the people who are the power. It's the people who give the leaders the power. And their job is to make sure that the people are happy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're sitting in that seat doesn't mean that you have to ignore the voices of the people. But getting back to Islam, I've found that when you owe your allegiance to God, and many religions do, that's the most important thing. Religion can be in enslavement, but with Islam, I found out that it's pure for me. The word terrorist we hear quite a bit, and when you look at a lot of the institutions or a lot of the, a lot of the correctional centers and the prisons in America, they're full of
mm-hmm.
inmates, but they don't call them Christian terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, everybody deserves a better chance, and everybody needs rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more into inspiring and enlightening and educating the youth,
Mm-hmm.
because there's such a divide and there's such a confusion with young people today as to how they want to go about their lives, how they want to get started, and what they should be doing at this point in time. But it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at home, way before you even go to school. It starts at home, because if the respect for the parent is not there, then how are you going to go to school and respect the teacher? When you grow up, how are you going to carry yourself in a respectful way and respect others?
And respect yourself.
And respect yourself, yes. So it starts at home, and we've been very fortunate to have had great parents, and that's why I talk about my family quite a bit, because there's been so much confusion out there, and they've said all kinds of things about our family, but we took a blessing from God, and we inspired the right messages in our music, and with that blessing, we were able to put a message out there that transcends different races, religions, just across the board,
mm-hmm.
and borders.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of the blessing and the upbringing that we've had at a very young age.
I think we sometimes forget here, particularly in Western Europe maybe, and in other parts of the developed world, when we dismiss or criticize cultural differences and divergences in other parts of the world that result in violence. We forget that in the UK, for example, it's not that long ago that we had our own internal violence in Northern Ireland, much of which was caused by a clash of two identities in Spain, where Prime Minister Zapatero did so much to try and heal divisions. We saw violence there over the years, largely based on identity and a feeling of powerlessness. And I think sometimes we don't understand that of course that exists elsewhere as well, and that in our recent past, that has been very much part of our fabric as well, and we should understand it a bit better.
No, speaking of clashes, I was in the Big Brother house years back.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and it was something that my father and I had a bet. We actually came to the Big Brother house here. We had visited a friend, and we had a bet that he asked me if I could do this, and I said no. But he put a big stake up, so I told him yes, and then. But in the Big Brother house during that time, there was a clash, and it had nothing to do with racism. It was just a group of girls on this side who I don't know if you remember, but Shilpa Shetty was the one, and she was called a word that was very disrespectful to her, and so they come running to me to kind of keep the peace. And so I came in and I said, what do you care what they say? You know who you are. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, your kindness is your strength. Be kind. They will find out later. And so after we came out of the Big Brother house, I was asked many times, was there any racial tension there? And I really didn't think that Jade, who was the one who made the comment to Ship, that there was no racist tension there at all. But you know how the media could be. That's the word that they wanted to hear come out of my mouth. And I would, because it wasn't that. It was just Jade had her crowd, and Shippa had her team of people, and they didn't get along during the time. But I told her, don't worry about being kind. Kind is your strength. And so it kind of worked out. But that's the problem with, it's the peer pressure that young people have today. And when they're around their friends, they feel like they have to sort of stick their chest out and say certain things that's not what's really coming from their heart.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know about the incident, Jermaine was in the Big Brother house in the UK, filmed day after day live on TV, was very much the calming influence in the Big Brother house, the peacemaker. And there was probably the single most controversial incident in the history of the Big Brother television show in the UK, when one of the contestants made what could have been taken to be a racist remark about one of the other inhabitants. And Jermaine was central to trying to recover the atmosphere in the house. I think what was interesting about that was that the person who made the comment, who at the time was, say, a young woman who's now dead, unfortunately, but Jade, at the time she was perceived as being a sort of rough, angry, opinionated young woman who didn't really care about other people. And I think the experience in the house and what happened around that controversy changed her quite a lot. And she became, before she died, she became
friends with
a much more loved person and a much more loving person.
Exactly.
It was interesting that it sort of brought that out into the opening.
There's a lesson to be learned there, yeah.
Maybe a bit like Mark's point about us all listening a little bit more, hearing what people have to say and then helping them change as well. I wanted to ask you about one other thing, which I think is perhaps, apart from the wall coming down and the end of the Cold War, the other biggest change in our lifetimes has been the invention of and then the growth of the internet and social media communications, and the way that has brought the world closer together, but also perhaps exaggerated differences as well, and created momentum for opinions that maybe wouldn't otherwise have been there. But also a fantastic way for everybody. I mean, the thousands of people who come through ICD can stay in touch with each other and their lives and their opinions and where they go with their careers. And I just wondered, I mean, you're right, music is the universal language, but the internet has become the universal mechanism for communicating. And I wonder if you've any thoughts at all on that, both as a force for good, but also as perhaps sometimes a force for danger as well.
Yes, well, the internet has been around for quite some time. They just provided it for us. But no, social media is very powerful today, and I think an individual can become an institution. He can become his own distributor. There are a lot of positive messages that are floating on the highway of the internet, and there are a lot of negative things, and that's why it works both ways. But it has been a tremendous help in the music industry because of the major record companies are now realizing that if a young man can come out with a video tomorrow and get 5 million hits, that used to be 5 million records sold. And so they have their own built-in crowd without the help of a major label. But at the same time, the bad influences that social media has is also just as damaging. And we use social media in a way to sort of just promote positive things. And that's what it should be. But when you have a camera and you do something in this room today and the whole world could see it tomorrow, that has a lot of good. And if this wasn't a positive message, it has a lot of bad.
And maybe reinforces what you were saying about respect. Because of that ability to communicate with so many people so quickly, that respecting other people and respecting yourself becomes even more important.
Starts at home.
Starts at home. Jermaine, thank you very much. I think it's been a pleasure for everybody to hear a bit more from you tonight, and we look forward to you being involved a lot in the ICD in the years to come. Thank you very much.